This is from the 2005 AP test. This would be your logic question. So what we have going on here is we have a reservation class. And inside the reservation class, we have a constructor. We know it's the constructor because it's the same name as the class. It takes a guest name and a room number. We also have a getter for the room number. The next class we have is the hotel class. We have an array called rooms of reservations. So each one of these rooms is going to have a name and then a room number. And it says a room can be empty, which means we need to check for the null point reference. We have another array list this time called wait list, and that's just going to contain names. We're supposed to write the method public reservation request a room. So if there are any empty rooms with no reservation, then we're going to make a reservation object in one of the empty rooms, and we'll have it be the guest name and then the room number. Okay, so on the first part A is request room, so public reservation request room. Part B, write the hotel reservation or method called cancel and reassign. Cancel and reassign releases the previous reservation if the waiting list of the hotel contains any names, meaning the length of the wait list is not 0, but this is a wait list, so you're going to use .size. The vacated room is reassigned to the first person at the beginning of the list. The person is then removed from the waiting list, and the newly created reservation is returned. If there's nothing being added, then you are going to return null. So public reservation, cancel reservation, reassign reservation. So since this is a reservation, it has a name and a room number. We have the getter for the room number, so I'm going to store that. So int room number. We're going to take this object reservation and .get room number. So now we know where to put our new room. So rooms, room number is now going to be equal to null because we found the reservation of whoever wanted to get rid of the room. We set the room to null. Now we have to see if our wait list is unempty. So if wait list dot size is bigger than 0 or not is empty, you could also use is empty, that means that we have someone on the wait list, so we're going to put them in our room. So we're going to store this as our new array list, or in our new array. So rooms at position room number is going to be a new reservation. And we're going to get the stuff from waitlist.getZero. We're going to cast that as a string. So string waitlist.getZero. That's going to be your name. And then you're going to pass in, of course, the room number. Then we have to remove that one. But since I said waitlist.get, I could have said waitlist.remove right here, and that would also return the name. But I didn't do that here, so we had to do wait list dot remove 0. And then lastly, return room at room 0. At rooms num, sorry. So at rooms num, if we didn't override it with a name, it's now going to have the null point reference. Otherwise, we've changed it to the reservation object, and that's what we'll return. So how was this scored this year? On the second part, you get 1 point for looking up the room number, which would be right here. You get a half a point, which they don't do anymore, to check sure that's the null reference, or setting it equal to null. I'm sorry, test if the wait list is bigger than 0, so that's going to be your half point over here. Checking for the null point reference of that, making sure it's not empty. And then you're going to get 2.5 points for using the wait list. You have to get the first entry, so you're going to have to do get 0. You get 1 point for that. And creating a new reservation. You get 1 point for making sure the room number is correct. And then 1 point for the waitlist dot remove. And then a half point for that return statement. AP no longer gives half points. This is 2005, so it's pretty far back. But again, it does the arrays, array lists, and objects all in the same thing and checking the null point reference. So it's one that you need to know. So public reservation, that's going to be a return type, a reservation. Request room. And we have a guest name. So the first thing we're going to do is traverse rooms and look for a null reference. So for int I equal to 0, I less than rooms.length, because it's a regular array. Since the length is fixed, you don't need a method. So I++. So here we have if our rooms I is null. That means we have an empty room for a new reservation. So here, you're going to make your new reservation. So rooms I. Since we're creating a new object, you need to use the new operator. So new reservation. And remember, the reservation first took the guest name and then the room number. That's all we need inside there. Now, if we make it all the way through, so if we add a room, then we're done. So as soon as we add a room, you're just going to go ahead and return rooms I, so you wouldn't go any further. No need to traverse once you find an empty room. If you make it all the way through the array and you do not hit the return statement, then you're going to add that guest to the wait list. And then return null. So that's part A. We get 1 point for looping over the rooms correctly with no error bounds. You get 1 point for checking the null reference and creating the new reservation. Actually, that's 1 point here and 1 point here. And you get 1 point for adding it to the wait list and returning null. So first part is worth 4 points.